could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football overtime. Bills, 49ers. That's my quarterback, man. I apologize for the delay. My son didn't want to go to sleep, and hopefully he doesn't wake up in the middle of this thing. I just put him down. Had to play catch up, obviously, 2 Monday night games. The first being my squad, so obviously everything got pushed back, but I was able to comb through the entire game. Man, is this Bills offense fun to watch when they're clicking, and they didn't even have John Brown tonight. That's scary. Cole Beasley over 100 in the first quarter. Stephon Diggs was a problem. How about Gabe Davis tonight? How about Isaiah McKenzie? I mean, they're throwing other guys at you tonight. Threw the rook in there. You did get a fumble out of the rookie running back that I told you I actually really like, and they sat him down after that fumble. You didn't see a lot of Zach Moss after that fumble, but they didn't need him. They didn't really need the run game all that much. They got just enough out of the run game, but Josh Allen was exceptional. And I told you on the podcast earlier today that Russell Wilson is no longer in the discussion for MVP for me. And as good of a season as he had to start, he's been overtaken by other guys. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and I even mentioned Josh Allen. Tonight's performance, and it's performances like these, and he's had plenty of them this season, okay? Plenty of these games. Against Seattle, he had a game like this. Against the Rams, he had a game like this. Against the Dolphins, he had a game like this. Against the the Jets, he had a game like this the first time around, not the second time around. Bottom line is, this is what he's been this season. He's an MVP candidate. He was exceptional tonight, but he's been exceptional all year long. It's the reason he's my favorite quarterback to watch in the league right now. I love me some Aaron Rodgers, you know that. But I told anybody that would listen, and you go back to any of my 2018 quarterback breakdowns, or was it 2017? I think it was 2018. Let's see. Mayfield came in 18. They stunk it up last year. Yeah, it was 18. He's my favorite 18 quarterback of that draft class. I told you I would take him number 1 overall. Not a lot of people agree with me. Oh, he's inaccurate, this, that, and third. Okay, cool. We'll find out. We'll see. He's big. He's athletic. He's got a rope for an arm. What is there not to love? Oh, he can't throw it accurately. Okay. Well, how's that going for you right now? Guy was ridiculously accurate on the move. Did you see the throw? Oh, I thought, one of the throws, his best throw of the night is one that probably a lot of you don't even remember. And he literally, he didn't know if he got enough on it. If you watch him throw it, if you look in the background, he's jumping up and he's scooching down like, oh, did I get it over the linebacker? He didn't know if he got it over the linebacker or not. And he did. He got it right over his head. And he threw it behind him to, I want to say it was Gabe Davis. And it's just a throw where you go, wow. And as Brian Greasy said, it's a layered throw, Got to get that over the linebacker, and that's a hell of a linebacker. He got it over, too. I can't even think of his name, number 54. I love him, too. I've been talking about him. I want one of those on my team. To me, he's one of the, and Aaron Rodgers called him the best inside linebacker in all of football, but that's no here nor there. I thought that was his best throw of the night, and there were so many BBs. How about the throw on the move to Cole Beasley as he dot the I's before he goes out of bounds? That's a frozen rope, 25 yards down the field, pinpoint accurate. Don't talk to me about accuracy, man. This guy's ridiculous. And when they've got it going like that, they had the 49ers all off balance. They didn't know if they were coming, if they were going. That Isaiah McKenzie play, he's so wide open. How about the Gabe Davis touchdown? He's so wide open. Like, you don't get much more open than these receivers were in this game, but it's because they just didn't know. They couldn't cover any of these Bills receivers. They couldn't cover Stephon Diggs. It didn't matter if it was, if it was Dick Sherman, or if it was Jason Verrett, it didn't matter. They couldn't cover him. 3rd and 1, 4th and 2, it didn't matter. 3rd and 5, had no answers. Zone, man, they had no answers. Cole Beasley was a problem. Again, there's so many weapons. I told you, first of all, I've stated this many times. I love Brandon Beane, and I said he's turned around that organization so quickly. Him and Chris Ballard in Indianapolis have done the absolute best jobs of turning around their respective franchises. When they got there, Indianapolis was more of a mess than Buffalo, but Buffalo needed work too. And the biggest difference is Brandon Beane hit on a quarterback, and the Colts don't have a guy right now. That's the biggest difference between the two, but they've built the roster in order, in a way that is conducive to winning for their division. And the Bills have the ability now, with finding Josh Allen, to now surround him with talent. That's what they've done. That's what they did with Devin Singletary. That's what they did with Moss. That's what they did with Dawson Knox. That's what they did with Stephon Diggs, giving up the 1st-round pick when everybody thought that was a crazy move. And I said, that's a hell of a move, because now you got a legit number one. All these receivers in the draft, they're crapshoots. You know, I love Justin Jefferson, and you would have been right in that range, but you wouldn't have gotten your hands on Justin Jefferson. You would have had to trade up to get him. And you didn't know what he was going to be. You knew what Stephon Diggs was. You were trading for a known commodity young in the prime of his career. I love the move. You go out, you get Cole Beasley, you go out and get John Brown a year ago. Both of those guys were exceptional last year, so you knew what you were getting when you added Stephon Diggs to the mix. Dawson Knox in year 2, love that. Tyler Kroft has been a solid acquisition when healthy. And you just put all of these pieces together, and now you got Josh Allen pulling the strings. And he is just phenomenal. He's comfortable. The game is slowed down for him. You can't corral him in the pocket. He's getting out. He's extending. He's doing the things that he did at Wyoming in his junior year. Everybody wanted to fixate on the senior year. Oh, my God. He's inaccurate. Go back and watch 2016 Josh Allen at Wyoming. Not 2017 Wyoming, because he was pressing. All of his guys left, went to the league. He was pressing. He's comfortable. He's dialed in. He's got weapons. They've got an offensive line. He's a problem. This isn't the same Bills team last year that went 8-3 and then fell apart at the end of the season. They didn't, first of all, that Bills team didn't know what to do with 8-3. That was uncharted territory for them. They were just happy to be there. Different mindset now. That's why experience is key. Experience is king, really, what it all boils down to is, if you've never been there, you really don't know how to react. Now they've been there, done that. They're a different team. They are more confident, and you're gonna see a different Bills team down the stretch. You really are. And it would not shock me in the least if they found a way to beat the Steelers next week on primetime television. It wouldn't shock me if they got the number 2 seed, because they're fully capable. And the Steelers, you saw their schedule. 3 out of their final 4 games are against winning teams, including the Browns. They've got the Browns, they've got the Colts, and they got this Bills team. They could easily split those games. All right, finish up this season at 13 and, let's call it 13-2. 13-3, excuse me. Buffalo could get to 13-3, and if they get to 13-3, obviously they'd have to win out. But if they get to 13-3 and they have the tiebreaker over the Steelers, they're the number 2 seed. I'm just saying look, the biggest issue I have with Buffalo is their defense. Specifically, their run defense. Well, you saw some issues with their run defense tonight, okay? But that's the 49ers. They've run on everybody. There's no shame in getting run on by the 49ers. And it wasn't egregious, but it was enough to make you say, that's a problem. But when they needed stops in the red zone, when they got inside the 5, when they got inside the 2, how about the 4th down stop? They draft guys that I love. You know I'm a Tremaine Edmonds guy. Always have been, always will be. Wanted Washington to draft him. Had a chance to draft him. They passed on him. Took Daron Payne. And that's fine. Deron Payne's been excellent for us. He's not Tremaine Edmonds. I'm not doing that again, though. That fourth down stop, and I still don't know if they're totally using him correctly, but that's nor here nor there. He's a freak. He's a beast, and that was a massive stop. And you saw guys making plays. The Johnson guy made a play on a 9-yard loss on a stretch play. Like, that's nasty. Vernon Butler splitting a seam, getting up the field, penetrating, disruptive, tackle for loss. They've got guys. They just got to put it together. We saw the secondary be able to force some turnovers. They're fully capable. 2 interceptions of Nick Mullins tonight. If they can figure out just a way to stabilize the defense, I'm not saying they got to be dominant. Not with this offense functioning the way that it has this season. You saw what Josh Allen was doing. If he wanted to throw for 4 bills tonight, he could have. When they've got it going like they did tonight, nobody's stopping them on the offensive side of football. But the question is, can they get enough stops defensively? If they can figure that part of the team out, and they can get their kicker, Tyler Bass, who's a rookie, out of Georgia Southern, to start making kicks, and he's been really good of late. He started off a little shaky this season, but he's a rookie. If they get him to make kicks consistently, and this offense continues to roll, and this defense just like Seattle, I don't need you to be great. Just stabilize. Just don't be a leaky sieve. This Bills team is right up there with Kansas City, right up there with Pittsburgh. And we're going to see. They're going to get a litmus test next week. At home, Sunday night. This is what you asked for. Right here. Primetime stage, at home. You want people to know what you're about. Here's your opportunity. Don't waste it. Steelers are going to be pissed. They're going to come in foaming at the mouth. What are you going to do? Best defense in the league. If you want to win the MVP, if you want to have your name in that discussion, Josh, here's your opportunity. Best defense in the league. Prove it. It's going to be fun. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's going to be one hell of a game that I am definitely looking forward to. They were exceptional on offense tonight. They had it on tilt. It was so much fun because the 49ers had no answers. None. They couldn't get consistent pressure, and when they did, he just moved. He just got out of the pocket and threw BBs 25, 30 yards down the field. What are you going to do? Nothing. And when they needed a stop on 3rd or 4th down, just casually drop back, wait for Stephon Diggs to uncover, wait for Cole Beasley to uncover, and get him the football. It wasn't hard. Nothing looked hard tonight. That's when you know you've got it going. That's when you know you've got the other team off balance. Brian Daboll was exceptional tonight. Because the 49ers had no idea. None. They didn't know if they should play man, if they should play zone, if they should press, if they should play off. Is he running a slant? Is he running a comeback? They didn't know. They had no clue. I mean, you saw the route Stephon Diggs ran against poor Jason Verrett when he ran the Z out. Jason Verrett almost went down to a knee. Like, are you serious right now? Seriously, are you kidding, or are we for real right now? Like, are we doing that? That's what we do in the corners now? I mean, these guys are ridiculous. It was fun to watch. It really was. Got a super chat, few actually. So I'm going to knock these out. And then we'll go to the 49ers side of things. Brendan McCloskey says, still hyped about that win. On to the 49ers. I'm nervous about the 49ers, I'm not going to lie. And they were talking crazy. I was hoping what happened tonight happened, which is the Bills take them out. I don't want them feeling like they got a chance to make the postseason. I don't want them rushing George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo back. I want Nick Mullins. I want the George Kittle-less 49ers. I don't want any of those guys back for our game. Now, if they want to come back for the final 3 games of the season, knock yourself out. I don't want either one of those guys back next week. Take my chances with Jordan Reed. I still think they've got weapons everywhere, and their run game is scary. They're a formidable team. And we're not the Buffalo Bills. We're not going to make it look as easy as they did tonight. So that will be a interesting game. And you know, Trent's going to want to beat us. Jordan's going to want to beat us. And Kyle's going to want to beat us. They're going to want that one bad. So that should be interesting. David Ryboff, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. David writes, how about them Saints? Hashtag who dat? I'm amazed at what they've done. 9 straight after the 1-2 start. The last 3 of which have been starts by Taysom Hill. Sean Payton never ceases to amaze me at how he's able to reinvent the wheel every single year. Last year, it was Teddy Bridgewater on a 5-0 stretch. This year, it looks like Taysom Hill, and I think he's going to get one more start. I really think he's going to start against the Eagles as well. I think they're going to give him one more week before they decide to bring him back. If I'm not mistaken, that game that he would be back for would be the Bills. I thought I saw the Bills. I'm trying to think. Did the Bills play the NFC South? Did they play the Falcons? I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on that. I thought Falcons. I'm trying to think. Did they play anybody in that division? I don't remember them playing the Falcons this year, but I remember seeing the Falcons on somebody's schedule in those last 4 games. But I think that was the Chiefs. Yep, the Chiefs division. The AFC West is playing the NFC South because the Chiefs played the Panthers 33-31 a couple of weeks ago. So they're not playing the Saints. That's the Chiefs that have to play the Saints still. Buffalo. I think that game is against the Chiefs in 2 weeks. He might be back for that game. That would be interesting. Anyway, how about them Saints? Number 1 seed in the NFC, and I think they're going to ultimately remain there. We'll see what happens. John Livingston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man John writes, Louie, heard all week from Niners fans they were going to win. Even Vegas switched. Josh Allen put on a clinic tonight. So fun to watch. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Congrats on the Washington football team on knocking off the Steelers. Thank you for that. I don't know why anyone thought the 49ers were going to win this game. Like, this is what happens when you don't understand. And Vegas is usually pretty good on these things. I'm shocked that the line did what it did. Because, and maybe it was because of what they saw from the Bills last week against the Chargers. I don't know. The reason the 49ers won the game last week was because they were playing against a team that they own in their division. It was family business. You have to know that. They've already swept the Rams this year. They just know how to play the Rams for whatever reason. And so I think they got caught up in that. And they're like, hey, the Bills weren't all that impressive against a Chargers team that's struggling. And you can kind of get caught up in all that stuff if you're not paying attention. And like I said, normally Vegas is good about that. They understand who's good and who's not. I think they got caught up. And they needed a reminder of why this. And I still think there are people sleeping on the Bills. And that's fine. If they don't believe, more performances like this on the big stage will force them to take notice and believe. And I told you, if you really want their respect, they're not going to give it to you. You got to take it. Steelers are coming up next week on Sunday Night Football. At home. You want respect? Go take it. Put people on notice. So, that's going to be interesting. But you're absolutely 110% spot on. This was a clinic. I mean, absolute clinic. The kind that you put on a highlight reel. When you do cut-ups of how you're supposed to do certain things, this is how you do it. How you layer a throw over one of the best linebackers in football, this is how you do it. How you get outside the pocket, throw from a balanced platform on the money on a frozen rope, this is how you do it. He was magnificent. Anyhow, got a couple comments here. Let's take these, and I think I got in the super chat actually. Have a super chat here from William Edwards. Thank you for the super chat, William Edwards. Greatly appreciate you. William writes, hey Lou, ESPN not taking us seriously after this win. That's fine. No need to. I told you, I don't indulge in any of that stuff. I don't live for the approval of ESPN or NFL Network. Just like last week against the Cowboys, every single analyst picked against us, and they should have. The Steelers were 11-0. Okay, I did not think we were going to win the game, so I'm not going to sit here and the disrespect. They didn't pick us to win. Why should they? We were 4-7 going into the game, and the Steelers were 11-0. I wouldn't have picked us either. I didn't pick us. However, if they didn't respect us before, I don't want your respect now. I'm in the process of earning that. And I just told the Bills that they want the respect, go take it. Nobody's going to give you anything when you started off the season 1-5 and we're 2-7. Nobody's giving you anything. You want it, you got to go take it. So we've won 3 in a row. Everybody, you beat Cincinnati, you beat Dallas. Woohoo. Okay. Now we beat the Steelers. What you got to say now? All you can do is beat the teams in front of you. We've done that 3 times in a row. We're hoping to make it 4. And we're going to continue this climb. We're trying to climb back to 500. We're going to try to continue this climb. That's all you can do. So, we'll see what happens. But I'm not looking for anybody's respect. All we got is us. That's all we need. We don't need the approval of ESPN or Stephen A. Smith or this guy over here or the NFL Network, even though I love Peter Schrager because he's been rocking with us since day one. But we don't need any of those dudes, honestly. All we got is us. And that's all we need is us. That's it. And I'm fine with that. Let me rock with the people that's been rocking with us since day one. 10 toes down. And ESPN has not been that. And they shouldn't have been, and I'm not mad about that. Thank you for that super chat, William Edwards. All right. Niners fan says, Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in football, and he showed it tonight. I can't co-sign on that because there is a guy named Aaron Rodgers. There is another guy named Patrick Mahomes out there. But if we were having a real discussion right now between Russell Wilson and Josh Allen, I would listen to that. I'd still take Russell Wilson. But that's a discussion to be had. So if you told me that he was right now the third best quarterback in the league, I'd listen to that. Absolutely. I would listen to that, and you'd have an argument. I can't put him above Mahomes or Rodgers. I still can't do that. Now, is his mobility better than Rodgers at this point of his career? Absolutely. He can do some things that Rodgers probably doesn't want to do, but he can still do. But I can't put him ahead of Rodgers or Mahomes. But this guy is playing at a very high level. And so I couldn't put him any higher than third, but saying a lot coming from where he came from, where no one wanted to give this guy a time of day. And at one point early in this season, Bills fans were asking, do we need to pull the plug? I want to say it was before the season started. Do we need to pull the plug on Josh Allen? You know, what if he doesn't start this season off well? What do we do with Josh Allen? Times have changed. That's no longer a real relevant conversation in Buffalo anymore. Got a comment here. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, John Livingston. Greatly appreciate you, my man. John writes, Alex Smith has to be the best story in the NFL in a long time. Rooting hard for him. Not against the Bills, though. Ha ha. Absolutely not. You're spot on. I'm still floored at his ability to play the quarterback position. Absolutely flabbergasted at how this man is doing what he's in a sense, everything he's done has undermined all things that make sense. Because most people And when I say most people, 98% of people. There aren't many people that would have said, I want to go back and do the thing that literally almost took my life. I made enough money. I had a beautiful family that loves me, needs me. There's nothing else here for me to do other than to try to get back to being able to walk and run and enjoy life with my family. And he got back to a point where he could do that. And this man took it a step further and said, I not only want to get back to a position where I can play, I want to play at a high enough level that I can take a team and potentially help them win a division. This is insane. And from where he's come from that first game back, and I know a lot of you didn't watch that first game that he got thrusted into against the Rams. It was one of the ugliest performances you will ever see from a professional NFL quarterback in a game. I think Washington literally, and I kid you not, literally had 9 yards of total offense in the second half of that game with Alex Smith at quarterback. It was one of the absolute most horrid performances these eyes have ever seen offensively. And after seeing that, I was convinced this guy can't play. I couldn't have been more wrong. And what he's doing, as you mentioned, nothing short of remarkable. Never would have thought. I'm still mind-boggled by what I'm seeing. He was one of the biggest reasons we won the game yesterday. And so it's amazing. Let's see. William Edwards says, thank you, first of all. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, William Edwards. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat and doubling up. William Edwards says, we need to get a feature of Louie T on Good Morning Football. Lifelong Redskin fan, are thriving in the hopes we haven't seen in a long time. I finally see a future in DC. We've been waiting a long time for it, and we'll see if we get it or not. It feels good. Feels like we're heading in the right direction for sure. Let's get to some comments now. Niners fan says, the biggest problem with our defense was obviously the lack of pass rush, but our secondary stinks. Cover 3 just doesn't work against guys like Russ, Kyler, Mahomes, and Allen. It does if you get pass rush, but like you said, in order to play a competent version of cover 3, you've got to be able to marry it up with pass rush. And if you're just going to give a guy all day back there to survey the field in cover 3, he's going to pick it apart. And even when you did finally get a little bit of rush, he just got out of there and extended. And after you extend, guys have to respect his ability to run because, as you mentioned earlier, he's one of those guys that can use his legs. That's why you think he's the second best quarterback in the league, because not only is he a threat in the pocket, but he's even bigger a threat outside of the pocket. And not just as a guy that can extend the throw, but he can also run. So there's a lot of layers to his game. And when you're just playing cover 3, you're going to get eaten alive if you're not getting to the quarterback. And then it got to a point where he had eaten you up so bad that you came out of the cover 3 and was like, all right, we're going to play a little bit of man. And he ate that up too. So it's just tough when a guy's got it going the way that he does. But, you know, the thing is you miss Nick Bosa. There's no way around it. You can't take one of the best pass rushers in the league off the field and expect this defense not to suffer because of it. And you also take DeForest Buckner, who I know you had to pick one or the other, and Armstead balled last year. You took the wrong one. That's how I felt in the moment, but I understood what you were doing. He was the cheaper option. You had to do something. You weren't going to be able to re-sign both of them. You took the cheaper of the two, and you felt like, well, there's not that big of a drop-off. Well, there is, because one's more dominant than the other. And not that Eric Armstead is a stiff, but he's not DeForest Buckner. That's always been the way that I've felt, And DeForest Buckner, Defoe, is eating it up in Indianapolis, and he would have been doing the same for you had he still been in San Francisco. But that's nor here nor there. Niners fan. Oh, hold on. I think I got another super chat, and I do. John Livingston, thank you for tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. My man John Livingston writes, feelings on the Jets only firing Greg. Jets friends think that means Gase stays, and I'm here for their misery. LOL. He's staying in the interim. I don't think he stays past this season. I don't think they allow him to destroy another young quarterback. So I think they move on from him. I think that, remember, they hired a GM last year in Joe Douglas. He did not pick a coach. He inherited Adam Gase. So usually when you hire a GM, you want him to handpick his own guy. That's generally how it goes. Doesn't always go that way. Sometimes you get a GM and there's already a coach established there, and you just inherit that guy and you hope they work together well. But in this case, Joe Douglas is probably going to get his first opportunity to hire his guy. And generally, as a general manager, when you come on board, you live and die with the guy that you hire. If that guy works, you're going to be around. If that guy doesn't, you and him may get canned, just like we saw in Detroit with Bob Quinn and their head coach, Matt Patricia. So I don't think this is a sign that Gase stays. I think this is a sign that they don't want to ruffle. They don't want to start anew, essentially in season with another head coach. They don't see the benefit in it, which I do, but. They came out like 6 weeks ago, and I remember when they first said it, the vote of confidence. Hey, we don't see any need to fire Adam Gase in season, and so he was safe. That was the word out on the street like a month and a half ago. So this isn't a surprise that he's not fired. I think he's going to get canned at the end of the season. If they don't, they're going to continue to be one of the worst run organizations in football. They have to do something, and I think Gase is going to be gone. Greg getting fired, somebody had to fall on the sword. When you lose a game like that, it's just bad optics. It looks like you're tanking. It doesn't make any sense. You don't do something like that in a situation at the end of a game. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Somebody had to pay, and that guy was Greg Williams, and that's fine. Greg probably wanted out of there anyway. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for that super chat, John Livingston. I got to say this too, John. I know you bask in your friend's misery, but haven't they had enough misery? They don't need more misery. You're just piling misery on top of misery on top of misery on top of misery. At some point, they have to be able to breathe, right? Niners fan says, offensively, our biggest issue is the lack of a number one wide receiver. When teams blitz on third down, there's no big wide out who can just throw it to and expect a tough first down grab. It's funny that you bring that up, because in this offense, the Kyle Shanahan offense, the zone run blocking, the zone offense, it seems like none of these teams have a legit number one, and I don't think this offense requires a number one wide receiver because of so much emphasis on the run and the ability to force the opponent to have to respect it. When you go play action fake, you have to bite down on that because of how much run you're getting, and because of that, you don't need a number one to defeat coverage a lot of times. Just look at the Rams. Another byproduct of this Shanahan offensive scheme. Look at the Browns. Another product with Kevin Stefanski of this Shanahan offense. None of those teams have a true number one wide receiver, especially with Odell Beckham out in Cleveland. And they're thriving. They're doing just fine. I don't think this offense is necessarily it necessitates a number one, if it makes sense. Yeah, you would love a true Julio Jones like Kyle had in Atlanta, but that's not what this offense is. I don't think you have to have it. It's great if you do, but was that a problem last year? I don't really think that was a problem last year. I know you went and got Emmanuel Sanders to help you with the stretch run, but it wasn't that big of a problem. But we did say they need some help at wide receiver. I think you've got Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and that's enough. Sprinkle in a little bit of Kendrick Bourne, and I think it's enough. I really do. And obviously you watch this team more closely than I do, but Kyle always talks about needing a dude. Well, you had a chance to draft one, and you drafted Ayuk, so obviously he thinks Ayuk is a dude. There were enough guys in that draft. If you wanted a big receiver, you could have drafted T. Higgins. He was there. You could have drafted Denzel Mims out of Baylor. He was available. You didn't. You traded up to draft Brandon Ayuk, so he must think that Brandon Ayuk is a dude. So we're going to see, and he may evolve into that. Niners fan says, we always have these risky passes across the middle of the field which result in INTs like this game off the batted ball. We rarely throw the football outside the numbers because of the offense that you run. A lot of the action is to suck up the linebackers to throw the football right behind them. So a lot of in-breaking routes. There aren't, in this offense, it doesn't call for a ton of out-breaking routes. Now, you're going to get some passes outside the numbers, but a lot of the action off of the play action that you're going to get is going to force the backers to come up, and you're looking to make high-low reads. You want these backers to make a high-low read, and you want them to come up on the running back coming out of the backfield and sitting down, or a shallow cross, and you want to go right behind them. Eye candy for that linebacker, suck him up so you can hit the 15-yard dig right behind him. It's a lot of that in this offense. It's a lot of what you see in Sean McVay's offense. A lot of what you see with Kevin Stefanski. Same thing in Minnesota with the Vikings. Same offense. Same thing in Green Bay. But they push it down the field a little bit more than the 49ers do. But how many times have you seen, we used to call it in Washington the drift route. How many times, I know it all too well because obviously Kyle Shanahan was our offensive coordinator for a stretch there in Washington with his dad. How many times have you seen Deebo Samuel, how many times did we see this last year? Over the middle of the football field, 12-yard dig, 12-yard in cut. Play action fake, linebacker suck up, hit Deebo Samuel over the middle of the field, or hit Deebo on a quick slant over the middle of the field, he catches it and breaks a tackle and he's running. Or he runs over somebody. That's a staple of this offense. Got another one here from John Livingston. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, John Livingston. My man John writes, hey, as a Bills fan, misery is a birthright. I just wait for it to come for it all to come crashing down. LOL. Who's your bottom five teams right now? Top five. I think it's a lot easier. The picture is starting to clear up a bit. Let's see if I can come up with an order first. Let me just get the 5 teams and then I'll put them in order. So Saints, Steelers, Chiefs, Packers, Bills are my 5 teams. So now to put them in order, Chiefs are number 1. I still think the Steelers are good. I think they've had a little rough stretch here, but I still would take the Steelers number 2. I'll take the Saints 3rd. I really would like to take the Bills 4th and then the Packers 5th. I trust the Bills a little bit more, but I trust Aaron Rodgers more than I do Josh Allen. I don't trust the Packers defense, though. I don't trust the Bills defense either. I'm going to take the Packers 4 and the Bills 5 because I trust more about what the Packers are doing. One, Aaron Rodgers. I also trust Aaron Jones a healthy Aaron Jones more than I trust any of your backs. And I trust Devontae Adams, even though Stephon Diggs is like the best receiver, one of the best receivers in football. Him and DeAndre Hopkins are leading the league in receiver yards, and he's tied with Keenan Allen, or he was. He might have more catches than him now on the season. There's something about Devontae Adams. I don't know. Maybe Diggs is right there. He might even be better than him at this point. But I take the Bills 5th after the Packers to round out my top 5. Bottom 5, no particular order, even though I'll go back and order them. Jets, Jags, Cowboys, Eagles, and I think I don't want to put the Texans in there because I just Deshaun Watson is such a game changer. Oh man, it gets tough. I feel like I'm missing a bad team. I'm trying to go through the divisions in my head. NFC South, NFC North, NFC West, AFC East, AFC. Oh, Bengals. There it is. Sorry, I knew I was missing one. So now to put them in order, Jets are the worst team, followed by, I think the Bengals are the second worst team in football with no Joe Burrow. So I'd go Jets, Bengals, then the Jags, then the Eagles, and then the Cowboys. That would be my bottom 5 in the league right now. All right. JCamMan99 says, are you happy with what Alex Smith has done for Washington? Absolutely. I'd be much more inclined to feel like there was a little bit of maybe some, future building block stuff going on if it were Kyle Allen, or Dwayne Haskins even, but that ship has sailed. But it's Alex Smith, and I'm along for this ride wherever it takes us. I love what he's doing because I thought the season was over when Kyle Allen went down with a broken ankle. So I didn't think we would be in this spot with 3 straight wins and knocking off the number one, the undefeated team and the number 1 seed in the AFC. I didn't think that would be us 13 weeks in. So what Alex has done is remarkable. JCamMan99 also says, the Bills needed this win. There are so many good teams, and I feel that the Ravens and Patriots are going to make a run that no one is talking about right now. You're just scarred. The Patriots aren't making a run at any goddamn thing. All right. I keep talking about them. I think they got a soft schedule, which is why people keep trying to involve the Patriots in anything, because they're not good. They're well coached, and I've stressed this already. They're not good, though, and the Texans proved that a couple of weeks ago. And when they beat the Ravens, I came on that night on overtime and I said, they're going to lose to the Texans next week. I said that definitively that night. And what did they do? They went and they lost to the Texans the next week. They're not a good football team, but they're well coached. That's the biggest thing, is the Patriots. That's the championship medal that I was talking about. That Belichick is going to have those guys prepared. They're not going to beat themselves, and they're going to give themselves a chance. But if they play a team with talent, they're not good enough. Anyway, I digress. Let me pull up the Patriots schedule real quick and see what they have. That was impressive what they did, though, against the Chargers. I must say, my goodness, was that impressive. Rams, I've done this already, and I don't know why I just don't commit this to memory. Rams, Dolphins, Bills, Jets. They could lose 3 out of the final 4. We're going to find out what kind of a stranglehold they still have on this division. Because obviously, they've done irreparable damage to your psyche as a Bills fan for 16, and I get it. 20 years of being tortured by the same franchise will do this to you mentally. So you still think that the big bad Patriots are coming. But we're going to find out what kind of a stranglehold they really got on this division, because the Dolphins, even over that last 5 or 7 years, Dolphins weren't scared. They used to beat them every single year in Miami. Well, here comes that Miami end of the season game at home in which the Patriots used to lose with Brady. Let's see if they'll win it this time, because they got the Rams. They should lose that game. We'll see. They got the Dolphins, and then they got you guys. They should lose all 3 of those games. We'll find out. If they're really going to make a run, they'll win 2 out of 3 of those games. And then we'll see. We'll let the chips fall where they may. And I said 8-8 for this team. I said 8-8 for the Vikings as well. Both of them sit at 6-6. I'm sticking steadfast to what I said before the season started for both of those teams. 8-8 for the Patriots, 8-8 for the Vikings, and I feel good about both of them. I don't think there's a big run. I think there's a run coming for the Ravens. I agree with you there, and I said that I think the Ravens are going to win their final 5 games of the season, and they're going to get to 11-5, and they're going to make it very, very interesting. And again, who's bowing out though? Is it the Dolphins? It's not going to be the Browns. Is it the loser of the AFC South, Texans or Colts or Titans? I don't know. But somebody's got to go, because I think the Ravens are coming for a spot. That's just me, but we'll see. Got another super chat. This one is from my man, the Black L.A.B. Thank you for the super chat, Black L.A.B., who writes, your bottom 5 got to include the Chargers. You would think so after a 45-0 shellacking. We're going to find out what kind of fight the Cowboys have left in them. If the Cowboys are competitive against the Ravens, I would take the Cowboys out and put the Chargers in. But as of right now, if the Chargers and the Cowboys played, I'd take the Chargers in that game. So I got to see what the Cowboys are looking to do against the Ravens. The Ravens have been vulnerable. I think they're going to make a statement tomorrow night. Or tonight, I should say. But we'll see. I'm hesitant to put the Chargers in there because I've watched them play football this year. They're on par with the Texans and the Falcons. I've already said they're the AFC version of the Falcons. They could easily be. And forget about yesterday. I understand it was 45-0. I watched the game. I know what it was. It is what it is. But they could easily, just like the Falcons, they could easily be 7-5 right now. Probably should be 7-5. Just like the Falcons probably should be 7-5 right now. No worse than that. But they're 3-9. So yeah, they could easily be in your bottom 5. But I think that the Cowboys are worse than the Chargers. But we're gonna find out tomorrow or tonight. I can understand if your top 5, your bottom 5 had the Chargers in it instead of the Eagles or the Cowboys, I wouldn't even bat an eye. I said, yeah, that's a good bottom 5. You're picking from funk. So when you're picking from funk, it really doesn't matter. All of it stinks. Sean Blake says, man, I'm still on cloud 9. The team, baby. Let's go. What you been drinking? I told you I make a concoction called the Pink Panther. I had some stashed away from yesterday. I had made a little batch of it. I didn't want much. I just wanted a little buzz. So I drank a little bit of it. I had a whole bottle of it left, but my girl helped me drink it. I didn't expect her help, but she was excited. Obviously, I've converted her to becoming a Washington football team fan as well. So she indulged, and I didn't get as much as I thought I was going to get. I had planned on making another batch, and then I decided, oh, what the hell, it's late. I don't need to drink anymore. So I told you I usually don't drink during the week anyway, so I didn't want to make a whole nother batch. But I had some Pink Panther. It was delicious. Captain Spartan 04 says, what's up, Lou? How you feeling? Haven't watched the whole stream, but love that one of your fam thought I was a Giants fan. I'm glad to see you excited about your team, Lou. I appreciate the donation, man, the win. I really do. Because you guys helped out. You were just as much a participant in the win as we were. And I'm very gracious for that. We needed it more than you did. So I'm really I'm really thankful for that. And they probably thought you were a Giants fan because in those types of streams, when there are so many people and a lot of them are there to troll, the bigger your stream gets, the more trolls you invite in. And people just come in to nitpick and to start trouble. And they probably, because you're a Steelers fan, so there were some things that you probably took umbrage to. And they just figured, oh, it's probably another Giants fan. There's been an uptick in NFC East fans from other teams finding my channel because of the roundtable discussion that we had. It was a great collab with Bad Dog, Law Nation, and Lord Brunson. And so there was an influx of other teams' fans in some of my streams of late. And so they probably chalked it up to, oh, it's another Giants fan that's in here that's mad because they had the big win and we one-upped them, and now, you know, they know what time it is. So they probably just chalked it up to that. But if you've been around long enough, they know you're a Steelers fan. They should at least. But I appreciate you. Thank you. Niners fan says, Lou, you guys are going to destroy us next week. McLaurin is going to cook us in zone coverage, and y'all are going to feast on our O-line. I don't know about the first part of that. McLaurin cooking your secondary. I hope that is in fact the case. He needs a bounce back game after the way he struggled against that Steelers defense. But I hope we can take advantage of your offensive line. I saw too many familiar faces on your offensive line because obviously Kyle Shanahan knew them from Washington. But if Tom straight out of Compton is starting on your football team on your offensive line, you got issues. Major issues. So I'm hoping we can take advantage of your offensive line. But I got a lot of players that we're familiar with that are going to want to beat us, like Trent Williams, like Jordan Reed, and the aforementioned Kyle Shanahan. All of them are going to want to beat us. So we'll see what happens. Niners fan says, it's crazy, but if the Vikings finish 8-8 and we somehow manage to beat you, Dallas, and the Cardinals and Seahawks, we would make the playoffs. Again, a lot would have to happen for you to get in at 9 and so it would be 9-7, obviously. But you're right, because the Cardinals would then, if they won out, they would lose to you in this scenario, and they would be 9-7, and you would have. No, they beat you in week 1. But you might have a better NFC record than them. That's probably how you would get in. But we both know, more likely than not, you're not going to win out. I can't say that with 100% certainty, though. I've been impressed with the way your team has fought with all the injuries. To me, this is on par with what Mike Tomlin did last season with the Steelers. All the injuries, every excuse to give up, and they went 8-8. And I said it last year. I said it to start this year. I echoed that again 2 weeks ago. To me, that was the best coaching job I've ever seen Mike Tomlin have, and he's been 12-4 and 13-3. He's had some ridiculous records and great teams. That was his best coaching job last year, and it was funny because there were people thinking that he might get fired in Pittsburgh and they wouldn't want him anymore and that they might trade him. I'm like, you saw what this man just did with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph at quarterback? What are you talking about? This is his best coaching job ever. I think Kyle Shanahan is doing the same thing this year. I mean, they were playing musical chairs at the quarterback position. They've went through at least 27 backs this year, 19 different offensive line combinations. You've went through the full gamut of tight ends. The receivers are in and out. They're tagging in and out of the lineup. You lost pretty much half of your defensive line. You've been without Dick Sherman for much of the season. And yet, here you are and had a chance tonight with a win to get back to 500. And there you are with a chance, as you just mentioned, to win out and make the playoffs still. I don't think it's going to happen, but whatever happens, this is a hell of a job by Kyle Shanahan. That's just the way I feel. J. Cam Man says, I think that the Ravens and Patriots are the biggest threat for the Bills. I found a scenario where the 7th team is 11-5. I mean, there's no margin of error. Yeah, the AFC is loaded. I talked about it. It's the Western Conference of the NFL this year. It's ridiculous how somebody in the NFC is going to get in at possibly 8-8, as the 7th seed. Meanwhile, there may be a team that's 10-6 that may be on the outside looking in the AFC. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But that's 2020 for you. The AFC is uber competitive. And I first of all, the Ravens, I think, are going to be 11-5. I told you I think they're going to win out. Everybody's leaving them for dead. Oh, the Ravens this. Oh, the Ravens that. Okay, we're going to see. The Patriots, I have zero confidence in. None. I don't see them finishing up this season at 10-6, which is the best they can do at this point. 8-8 is the best I can do for them. Even if you and the Dolphins don't get them, they're going to lose one of those games, whether it's you or the Dolphins, and they always lose to the Dolphins. I don't see this being any different. You should get them, but the game in Buffalo early in the season scared me a bit because you guys still seem to feel like there's this cloud hovering over you and that they have this mind control over you still. So I'm still nervous about that game in Foxborough later on in the season, but I think the Rams are going to be good enough to corral Cam Newton and force him into some mistakes. Similar to the way the 49ers were able to force him into mistakes, I think they're going to do the same thing to him, and they're going to win that game going away next week. So I'm not buying anything the Patriots are selling. They'll have to prove it to me. Don't think they're a good team. BJ the GOAT says, I still can't believe we beat the Steelers. Well, believe it. We did. We did that. Down 14-0. We did that. Niners fan says, I wish Salah would have brought more pressure on Josh Allen instead of just rushing 4. In his mind, I'm going to tell you what he was thinking. If I bring pressure and 1, he escapes, or 2, you get a guy like Stephon Diggs open on, let's say he just runs a shallow cross or he runs a slant, and you come with pressure and there's nobody over the middle of the field and Allen hits him in a dead sprint. Who's catching him? He didn't want to put this defense at risk. It's almost the same philosophy that we played against the Steelers today. Like, look, just keep everything in front of you. Don't want to pressure. We know they've got explosive playmakers. Don't want to give them an opportunity for a catch and run like we did with Washington when he broke the 2 tackles, even though that wasn't a blitz. Just come up and make the tackle, and both the corner and the safety missed, and he scored a touchdown. James Washington did. They didn't want to give up, but it's crazy because unlike us, and we're usually prone to giving up big plays, guys were wide ass open anyway. It didn't matter that you were rushing 4 and you had 7 in coverage. Guys were still wide ass open. Dick Sherman being nosy, looking to jump a route, doesn't honor his responsibility on the back end. You had another mishap where Gabe Davis is wide ass open. I don't know what happened on that play. So it's a lot going on. I'll be right back. I told you I thought my son was going to come. I'll be right back. All right. Got that taken care of. So at the end of the day, he was trying to keep everything in front of him, didn't want to give up big plays, and it backfired. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And so at the end of the day, you would like him to come with pressure, but in his mind, he was trying to play bend but don't break defense. And you saw it work on the opening possession of the game. They got all the way down to the 1-yard line, kept him out of the end zone. So in his mind, he was thinking, if we could just hold these guys and not give up big plays and make them earn it, we might be able to keep them out of the end zone. It didn't work. I'm not mad at him for that. I knew what his logic was, but they just didn't execute properly tonight. Gregory Lightbody says, you think the Washington football team can beat this same 49ers team without Gibson? I'm pretty sure Shanahan still hates us. It's going to be interesting because the things that they do well, we do not do well. And one of those things is they love to run the football. The run defense has been better of late, but we haven't seen a rush offense like the Shanahans. And with the speed that they put on the field, that's a scary proposition. I hate their receivers for our defense because they break tackles and they're physical, especially Deebo Samuel. I would have loved to have gotten them without him playing. I think he drastically changes their offense when he's in the lineup. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The 49ers are no pushover. Not at all. I won't overlook them. That's for damn sure. It'll be 5-7 versus 5-7. Niners fan says, we are literally the Rams from a year ago. In what way? I'd like you to expound upon that. I think that's interesting. In what way do you feel like that? JCamMan99 says, ironic that Washington keeps the 72 Dolphins undefeated streak alive because they beat us in the Super Bowl in 1972 to go undefeated. So there's the irony of the situation. Let's see. Reese says, have you heard the Bill Cowher and Jim Harbaugh NFL comeback rumors, and do you think there's any validity to them? For the former, no. For the latter, yes. Bill Cowher, nobody wants a 70. How old is Bill Cowher? He's got to be 73 years old. Let's look it up. I always get this wrong. He's got to be 73 years old. Nobody wants Cowher old ass as their head coach. I damn sure wouldn't. Bill Cowher is 63. I was way off. He's 10 years younger than what I thought. Nobody's looking for a 63-year-old coach. That's not cool. I'm going to tell you this. I never was a fan of Bill Cowher when he was a coach. I think he was overrated, personally. That's just me. Hell of a coach in the regard that his teams were tough. They were physical, and he got the most out of his guys. But at 63, I'm good. He's not Pete Carroll. He's not going to inject life into your organization. Football has passed him by from the sense of him being able to manage 53 guys. It takes a special individual to be that age to be able to coach at a high level week in, week out. It's a hell of a strain on the body and on the family life. And no, I don't see it with Bill Cowher. Now, Jim Harbaugh, you damn right. He's going to get fired from Michigan. And he was a hell of a coach in the NFL. This is the thing about Jim Harbaugh. Wherever he goes, he wears out his welcome after about 4 or 5 years. He hasn't ever been anywhere for more than 4 or 5 years. That's everywhere. San Diego State, Stanford, 49ers, and Michigan. He just can't do it. He's like the Larry Brown of football. But he's a hell of a coach. So there are a lot of teams that would love, I know a lot of Cincinnati Bengals fans that are like, yo, we would take Jim Harbaugh in a heartbeat. So I think Harbaugh is more likely than Bill Cowher. Who the hell wants Bill Cowher? Now, it may just be me. And a lot of franchises would love to have Bill Cowher. It's like hiring Tom Coughlin. Who wants that guy, an old guy that's, this disciplinarian? That kind of stuff doesn't work in 2020. I don't see it. But we'll see. No on Cowher, yes on Harbaugh. Reese says, I think Jim Harbaugh would be a perfect fit for the Chargers. Ooh. I don't know about that. Maybe. I think Justin Herbert has proven this year that he's good enough to be with a head coach that can nurture a quarterback. Harbaugh, to me, is a guy that, is running sort of a dual threat offense with a quarterback that's running and all. I don't think that needs to be Justin Herbert's life. It doesn't have to be, at least. He can do it. But I think Herbert's proven this year that, he gets with the right guy. like I would like to see him with like an Eric Bieniemy in Los Angeles, like somebody like that that's gonna nurture him and kind of use some of the things that you see in Kansas City with Justin Herbert, because I think his game, it's not Patrick Mahomes-esque, but he's got those types of qualities that he can make plays off schedule. He's a big kid. He can run. He's got a big arm. He's very mobile and athletic. They can run a lot of those things. They can get creative with him. They've got a lot of weapons. I'd like to see somebody like that go there, not Jim Harbaugh, who wants to ground and pound you. And, I'd like to see Harbaugh go somewhere else. I think Jim Harbaugh would be a great fit in like Chicago. I think he could actually make Mitchell Trubisky work. Or he could take Cam Newton and work him in Chicago. With that defense, ground and pound, kind of play that style he played in San Francisco. Not pretty, but, beat you 19-13. If he can get you, 27-13, but more likely than not, 13-10. He needs to go somewhere like Chicago for that. Niners fan says Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the league. Him and Greenlaw are going to be nasty for years to come. That's his damn name. I couldn't think of his name to save my life. Fred Warner. That's my guy. Love Fred Warner. I want one of those guys. Reese says he's the man who makes defenses want to puke. He's Brandon Ayuk. Hashtag puns are fun. I can't with you, Ree. I can't. JKMan99 says, how did Washington beat the Steelers defense? We just wore them down. The defense kept giving us opportunities by stopping the Steelers offense. And eventually, we just wore them down. J.D. McKissick, more J.D. McKissick, Cam Sims, more J.D. McKissick, Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick, Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick. We just wore them down with the same three dudes. It really wasn't much else, honestly speaking. It was three guys and Alex Smith just hanging in there. Reese says, Lou, remember when you talked about defense yesterday? You said we could make a transition to the 3-4. We already run a 3-4 under Bowles. Vita Vea is the nose. White and David are our middle linebackers. It seems like a lot of what I'm seeing from you are 4-down defensive linemen, but that also it could be a byproduct of you just being in nickel a ton. When you're in nickel, you're usually in an even front. So, Todd Bowles, I think, is a 3-4 guy. And now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of what he did in Arizona with the Jets. I don't remember. I think he is a 3-4 guy. Now that you say that. Because I told you when I started thinking about your parts, I'm like, and I didn't even think about Vita Vea. I forgot he's hurt. But you have all the requisite parts to run a very, very effective 3-4. And that's when I started sitting down thinking, I'm like, you got Golston. He can play your nose. Well, Vita Vea play your nose, and Golston is like the ultimate 5-tech. It's the perfect 5-tech. And then on the other side, you could just stick Sue there. And then you got your linebackers. You just talked about Devin White and Levante David. And then, of course, you got your pass rushers off the edge standing up in JPP and Shaq Barrett. So, yeah, that's a 3-4. And I said you got all the parts. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You're right. You're absolutely right. Reese says, do you like my Bucs' chances against the Vikings on Sunday, Lou? They have Cook, but we're the best rushing defense in football. Worried about Thielen and JJ, though. Hashtag must win. You're a better football team than them. They've been barely getting by. I think the rest is going to do you wonders, and I think you're going to come back stronger and a better team because of it, and I think you're going to take the Vikings down. I think I got a super chat. I do. Or I don't. Yes, I do. It's from the Black L.A.B. My bad. I thought I saw it, and then I don't know what happened. I had a brain fart. Black LB, thank you for doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Black LB. Greatly appreciate you, my man. Black LB writes, Lou, my girlfriend is an avid Steelers fan and said her team was going to lose to your football team. Keep it going, good brother. She knows something then. She knows a hell of a lot more than I do because I didn't see it coming. And I felt the vindication that I didn't want to feel at 14-0. I said, I knew this shit was going to happen. I knew it. I knew this shit was going to happen. I knew we weren't going to quit. But I didn't think we were going to win when we were down 14-0. And all season long, we had fought. Fought. No matter how bad we were down, we always fought to the end. And that's a redeeming quality to have in this league. Especially with a young team and a new coach. That's what you want to see, if nothing else. A team that continues to fight. And we've done it all season long. And I was shocked when it transpired the way that it did. So, anyway, let's see. Reese says, Adam Gase is right up there with Hugh Jackson as the worst people to coach in football history. Oh, and Mike Smith. I'm about to say, your punching bag, Mike Smith, you can't forget him. You kill Mike Smith for everything. That's always your guy. I actually like Hugh Jackson. Not a head coach. I think he's more of an offensive coordinator type of guy. But some guys know how to run a team and are good. I've always said, half the battle as an NFL head coach is managing personalities, knowing how to deal with your players. You got to be a people person. You can't be this aloof, introverted, weird, socially awkward guy as a head coach. It doesn't work. I just described Adam Gase. He's a brilliant mind. I guarantee you he's a smart X's and O's guy. Knows football offensively in and out. Knows defensive football in and out. I bet you this guy's an offensive savant. You sit and talk to him, you're like, man, this guy knows ball. But he's the same guy that you feel like he doesn't get outside much. He wasn't outside a lot as a kid. So those guys don't really have the people skills. As a wise woman says, you don't really have what they call the social skills. So those guys you don't want coaching up players. Portlock Sono 87. Great win for our guys in Washington. With that being said, can we still get in the playoffs with a wild card spot? Absolutely. I told you guys tonight. Got to win out, obviously. No margin for error. You don't want to assume 8-8 is going to be good enough to get it done, but 9-7 would definitely get it done. And here's the thing: you're going to need a lot of help with that. Essentially, Arizona would have to lose twice. Detroit would have to not get to 9. Detroit's not getting to 9-7, but they would have, because we lost to Detroit, we lost to Arizona. Those teams and the Giants, all of those teams own. Obviously, the Giants and us can't both be wild cards. Somebody's got to win the division, so I don't really worry about the Giants. But Detroit and Arizona both beat us this year, so they own the tiebreaker. So, in effect, when you play a team like Seattle, for instance, that's a big game. Not that Seattle's going to end up 9-7, but it's an NFC game. And when you start talking about tiebreakers against other teams, your NFC record is one of those tiebreakers that they go to. So, a lot would have to happen for us to win a wild card, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's crazy because 3 weeks ago we weren't having these types of conversations. Now we are. So just goes to show you how far we've come in just 3 weeks' time. Jonathan Hankey says, congratulations on Washington football team getting the dub, Louie. I appreciate that, man. That was a big win for sure. Brian says, number one Washington football team. Let's see. Captain Spartan says, Y'all better make the playoffs, though. I can't be having this as a bad loss on our season, so no pressure, LOL. And we going to make the playoffs, man. We needed this one to solidify to the Giants. Hey, where you going with the division, man? Come on back. Bring that thing on back here, man. Put it down in the middle so we can fight for it. So we needed this one. Like I said, we needed it more than you do. You did. And I appreciate y'all complying tonight. For sure. Captain Spartan 04 says, Ravens ain't making the playoffs, Lou. I know my family. We'll see. You are 100% right about that. You know your family better than I know your family, for sure. It's been a rough season for the Ravens. I think they got one more run in them, though, man. I do. But as crazy as 2020 has been, you might be right. It may be the Browns taking their spot and not them. But in this 17 format, I'm like, man, I'm not counting the Ravens out. I'm sorry. Their defense is too good. Lamar Jackson is still too good. I think they're going to be fine. They got all this COVID stuff out of the way. These guys got a rest. I think they're going to be just fine. We're going to see. Could be wrong. Blackout B says, my girl been saying for weeks that Ben and them boys been looking suspect on offense, and the loss of Bud Dupree was going to be huge. Your girl is not wrong. How much ball is she watching, man? She knows what the hell she's talking about, because I've been talking about this offense just being off. I've been saying that all year long, though. I'm like, something's not right with the Steelers offense, and I've talked to enough people that are Steelers fans to know. One, they're not running the football effectively. That's a problem, because in the AFC North, in order to be effective most times, you better be able to run the football. That's a division where it gets cold outside and the weather becomes a factor. You better be able to run the football in that division in particular. And the Steelers just don't have the confidence in their run game right now. And I don't blame them. I don't like any of their backs. Not a single one. But that being said, there have been a lot of drop passes these last 2 weeks. I think a total of 14 in the last two games. Ton of drops versus the Ravens. Ton of drops today versus Washington. If you're going to use the short passing game as an extension of the run game, got to catch the goddamn football. So they're not helping themselves right now. And the loss of Bud Dupree was massive. I can't stress that enough. Big time loss. Justin Plenikoff says, Bills fan here. I was bummed out that Washington beat the Steelers. I wanted us to be the ones to burst their bubble next week. Do you think the Bills will beat the Steelers on Sunday night? I think it's possible. This is going to be interesting because Tomlin laid into him last week, and I thought that we would get a more spirited effort from them. But they couldn't help but look at our record and see past us and say, it's 4-7 Washington, man. We got this, coach. We don't need all of that. We good. They're not going to do that next week. This loss has refocused them. You're 9-3. They know what this game means in the AFC landscape. You're going to get one of their better efforts, I think, next week. I'm hesitant to pick that game right now. If you put a gun to my head and said, look, I need a decision, I'd probably take the Steelers. Probably would take the Steelers. But I've been riding with the Bills all season long. Only game that I wish I would have picked them and I didn't was the Seahawks game. And the only reason I didn't was because of all the injuries you had going into the game, and like half of the dudes ended up playing, so it didn't work in my favor. But I looked at that laundry list of guys that were on the injury report. I was like, man, there's no way they're going to beat the Seahawks if all these guys don't play. And most of them ended up playing. And if I would have had that information, I'd have picked you guys in that game. I've been riding with the Bills all year, so it'll be interesting. I think if I had to pick a team, I'd go with the Steelers right now. But you're very capable of beating them for sure. We saw what you did tonight. But what you did tonight was against the 49ers. The 49ers defense isn't the Steelers defense. So we'll see. Reese says, we're going 3-1 in this final stretch, Lou. We needed to take a step back. We needed to get away for a week. We'll split with Atlanta, beat Detroit, and Minnesota, finish 10-6. That sounds about right to me. You told me that prior to the bye that was going to take place, and it sounded like good logic to me, and that sounds about right. Captain Spartan 04 says, night, Lou. Get some sleep. Y'all deserve it. Last L of the season will be next week against Buffalo. After that, we're winning out. By the way, Cowher was a great coach, 6 AFC championships. I didn't say he wasn't a great coach. I just think he was overrated. That doesn't mean he wasn't great. I just think when you talk about the pantheon of NFL head coaches, just because I don't mention him in that first wave doesn't mean he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame or he wasn't a great coach. I just think he's overrated. I think when people talk about great coaches over the last 3 decades, Cowher's name comes up rather quickly. And maybe when you look at the coaches that were around, like, okay, I'll say this. He wasn't a better coach than Jimmy Johnson. Got something for that? That's how I feel. Some people think he's better than Jimmy Johnson. I don't. He wasn't a better coach, and I'm biased. He wasn't a better coach than Joe Gibbs. And how many Super Bowls did he win? Just one, right? Like, I just think he was overrated. I'd take a bunch of... He wasn't better than Marv Levy. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. That's my personal opinion. There are a bunch of coaches I would take before him. And if you're talking the last 30 years, I just told you I'd take Jimmy Johnson, I'd take Joe Gibbs, I'd take Marv Levy, I'd take Don Shula. These are all coaches that I can keep going on and on and on. Other coaches that I think were exceptional, that I think were better than Bill Cowher as a head coach. And that's not to take away from his greatness. I just think he was overrated. When people talk about Bill Cowher, I think he gets pushed up on that list a little bit higher than he needs to be. That's it. Reese says, Boomer Esiason said Cowher wants the Jets job. Why in the hell would he want that? He wants control. Wherever he goes, though, he wants control. You don't come out of retirement after as long as he's been in retirement without getting full control over everything. And if the Jets are stupid enough to give it to him, they deserve the fate that's coming their way. Because I don't see him coming in and turning any goddamn thing around. But again, that's just me. So anyway, the Black Owl Beat says, when I say avid Steelers fan, I mean watches every game since she was a youngin' and knows the roster inside out, LOL. By the way, Vikes shocking the world 28-21 over the Bucks. Hashtag Skol for the win. That's going to be interesting, man, because those two teams, I didn't realize how close they were until I looked at the standings. The Bucks are 7-5 and the Vikings are 6-6. If they win, they flip-flop and the Bucks take over 6th place, or would it? Yeah, 6th place, and the Vikings would. The Bucks would take over 7th place, and the Vikings would take over 6th place. It's crazy. So anyway, Cody Larson says, first off, congrats on the win, Lou. I told you so, half jokingly, but I still told you so. Nobody thought that was gonna. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of people did. I didn't think it was gonna happen. So yeah, you're right about that. Reese says his wife is a Jets fan. He lives in the area, loves Lawrence, and that's what Boomer says. All right, great, Boomer. That sounds good. I don't buy anything that Boomer's saying. Sounds good. It's great. He lives in the area, yada, yada, yada. Loves Trevor. Who doesn't love Trevor Lawrence? Okay? I don't buy it for 1 second. We'll see. Boomer Esiason may know something. Cody Larson says, second of who else better to catch number 400 from Aaron Rodgers than number 17 Devontae Adams? Nobody. Captain Spider says, according to Collinsworth, it's shocking to have a Pittsburgh girl know her stuff, so make sure you keep her. I talked about that on the podcast, man. Collinsworth put his foot in his damn mouth the other day. Got a lot of flack on socials for that. That was funny. Yeah, so, and that's the perfect way to end this stream right there. I really appreciate you guys chopping it up with me this late at night. Sorry for the delay, as I mentioned. Had a lot going on, but you guys always seem to hold me down, so I appreciate you guys. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and sub up the channel. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit that like button before you go if you haven't already done that as well. And I really appreciate you guys chopping it up. And I tell you what, man. The Bills, man. They for real. I mean, you should have already known that. But I think some people need reminders of that. Tonight was one of those nights where if you weren't sure, if you were on the fence, take that. Take that, take that, take that. And another thing, start seriously considering Josh Allen for MVP. Probably won't win. Got Aaron Rodgers, got Pat Mahomes in front of him. Patrick. His mama named him Patrick. I'm going to call him Patrick. In front of him. But look, seriously, start considering Josh Allen for the MVP. Man has been insane this year. I'm going to leave you with his numbers on the way out. Before we go. Just so you know what this man has been doing this season. Josh Allen on the season. And I bet you they're just as ridiculous as Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes numbers, but nobody's talking about them. Josh Allen on the season. 3,400 yards passing. 26 touchdowns. 8 interceptions. So the interception numbers still a little bit high when you're talking about Mahomes and Rodgers. Those dudes are insane. Rodgers might have 3 or 4 on the season, and Mahomes might have 1 or 2. But what those guys don't have are the rushing numbers. And let's see where his rushing numbers are for the season. He, right now, let's see. Rushing numbers on the season. 81 rushes, 311 yards. That's not all that great like I thought it would be. Still 6 rushing touchdowns, though. So he's accounted for 32 touchdowns on the season. Conversely, see if I can find Aaron Rodgers, what his numbers are. It's ridiculous. I know it is. Because I know Aaron Rodgers and what he does. Conversely, he's got 36 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So he's still, and he's probably run for a couple of touchdowns too, if I had to guess, on the season. He's probably run for 2 or 3, his damn self. Only 1. And then when you get to Mahomes, so he's accounted for 37 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, 3,400 yards passing roughly. So Allen is right there passing yards wise, just not touchdowns and interceptions. Still not on Rodgers' level. And then when you get to Mahomes, this is going to be a crazy number because he's gone nuts the last month. They showed his stats from this last month. Every game is over 300, a couple of 400-yard games, and the touchdown numbers have been insane. And I think he's still only thrown 1 interception all season long, which is just ridiculous. Let's see. 2 on the season. I think they were both against the Raiders. 3,800 yards passing, so he leads the league there. 31 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and I know he's got more rushing than Aaron Rodgers does, but not as much as Josh Allen. He's not that far behind Allen, though. 241, 2 rushing touchdowns, so he doesn't have 6 like Allen. So he's accounted for 33 total touchdowns on the season. Allen's 32 and Rodgers is 37. So I think those are your 3 front runners right now for MVP, personally, myself. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm on the way out. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Look forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow. We got more football tonight. Tuesday night football. Isn't this great? Cowboys, Ravens. Big one for the Ravens. Gotta have it. We'll see if they get it. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one.